Good morning. I am Steve Weber, and this is
Victoria Reynolds.
And we are bringing you the American Gumption Show live from Redondo Beach, my last day in Southern California. After the show, I'm going to end up getting in the car and driving to Las Vegas and then Salt Lake City and then Boulder. So next week I'll be broadcasting from the Denver area. So anyway, hey, it's been a great week. Thank you for hosting me here in Redondo Beach, Victoria.
Oh, you're so welcome. It has been a really fun
Well, my goodness. Well, a little bit of technical difficulties here. Our internet seemed to be a little bit unstable, or a lot unstable, and
it disappeared on us.
But we're back. So anyway, we broadcast a couple days ago, and everything seemed to go fine. So anyway, we'll just see what happens here. Hopefully, anyway, welcome to the American Gumption Morning Show. I'm broadcasting from Redondo Beach, and I'm with Victoria Reynolds, who has been gracious and kind to host me the last few days. We took a little adventure. We might get into that. Our trip to the desert this week, and but I'm calling this broadcast "Fearless and Free" because that is Victoria's brand, and so we'll get into that. So, but anyway, here it is, Friday, episode number 6 from the road. I left 10 days ago, St. Patrick's Day, flew out to Northern California. On Sunday, drove down to Southern California, arriving Sunday evening. And again, Victoria's been kind and gracious to host me. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's been a wonderful time. And but we've been busy. Gosh, we've been busy all week long, haven't we?
We have been running all over the place. Monday was kind of chill. I got to show you Redondo Beach, downtown Riviera Village, Redondo Beach, and have a nice quiet lunch and sat on the bench. Different kind of bench, but we sat on the bench overlooking the ocean.
We sat on the bench and we watched the Pacific Ocean roll in and roll out and the sun was beautiful. It was a great little experience. So I got to experience Redondo. Yeah,
that was a beautiful day.
And then we ended up Monday night. We met Debbie G. First time that you only live about 45 minutes or an hour depending on traffic from Debbie, and but you hadn't actually met her in person before either. So both of us met. So it's kind of fun when you travel around and you get to meet these people that you really do know because you've been working together for either a few months or for the better part of a year in my case, and yet you finally meet somebody in person, and it's a different experience. Cool. So you certainly know people pretty good from Zoom or StreamYard or any kind of a face-to-face, a virtual face-to-face. It's much better than just a telephone call or certainly the written words, texting. But then there's a different energy when you meet people in person.
Right.
So we'll get into all of that because we had an adventure. So Monday was kind of that chill day. And then Tuesday, we ended up broadcasting. And was it Tuesday we broadcast? Yeah, it was. Yeah. And
it was such a busy week. Having a hard time keeping track of the days.
We did a little show, and you kind of interviewed me, and we talked about the American Gumption project. And I tried some new technology things, and these are ideas that I had for the last multiple months, but it was never necessary to try them. So by fire, you suddenly start hooking up tripods and cameras and microphones, and then connecting it all to the computer, using StreamYard to broadcast it. And what did we learn?
Well, it was fun for starters. So we were practicing getting you what it would look like if you were on the road, right? This was a sample test of broadcasting from the road.
Right.
And so we had 2 cameras behind us, and we had the camera on the computer, and we had the microphones. And we found it was more complicated than it needs to be after all that. And trying to figure out how to stop the reverberations and which camera to look at, and kind of figured by the time the week was over, doesn't need to be that complicated. But it was worth the try and the experience to work that out.
It's kind of like the way life goes. Sometimes we make things more complicated than they need to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we simplified the technology, and we ended up. Because we've been hanging together all week. We basically just set up a camera, a tripod, and a single camera, and we recorded it. And I have several of those recordings that I'll be able to play maybe next week, maybe even over the weekend. I don't know. I'll need to do just a little bit of editing on them, and but then I can do a live broadcast and play those interviews. And we met some pretty cool people along the way and had some good interviews.
Yeah, we met other members of the SGW team that I hadn't met before.
Yep.
And you met some members of the SGW team you hadn't met before.
Absolutely.
And I got to know that interesting community that you're a part of that I didn't even know existed. The lookalike community. Had no idea there was
celebrity
even a thing.
Impersonators. Yes, celebrity impersonators. So yes, we met Sharon Holmes, who was Martha Stewart. And so anyway, we had a nice dinner and visit with Martha, and with Sharon, Sharon. And
Martha made us dinner.
Right. And she has really been involved with the community. So I'll be bringing that interview next week. We'll play that along, and you'll meet the whole cast of characters in the celebrity impersonators world. So that's coming up. Yeah. And then, out to the desert. Hey, Mineral Hot Springs.
Yeah, so you did Mineral Hot Springs with Dr. Sharon, and I did Mineral Hot Springs in a hotel.
Right.
Yeah.
But just the idea of soaking in the mineral water, that is very spiritual. Mm-hmm. That is very calming. I mean, it looks like regular water, but apparently these waters are 10,000 years old and have been bubbling around, and lots of magnesium and other minerals that really soak into the body. And so I had an evening on Wednesday night, a good long soak. You also had a good soak. And then on yesterday morning, we both ended up having the opportunity to soak one more time. Right. So we've experienced lots of good stuff this week.
Yeah, we got soaked.
All right. So Fearless and Free. This is your brand. You wrote the book, Fearless and Free.
No, I have a book called Transcending Fear. I have a book called Free Your Spirit.
So we'll just combine those into Fearless and Free, since that's your brand on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about being fearless and being free. This was a week about freedom for both of us. Tell me, what kind of freedoms do you think you experienced this week, Victoria?
Okay, so one of the things, and you asked me that to think about, what did this week do for me? One of the fears that so over the past 10 years since I wrote the book, Transcending Fear, I have been consciously facing all of my fears. That includes, spending a ridiculous amount of time at the dentist. I used to be terrified of the dentist, and I'm not anymore. And one of my fears, as for legitimate reasons, I had a lot of trauma when I was younger dealing with men. And so one of the fears that I got over this week is having a man I've never met before alone in my house with me, and then being alone in the car with you for hours at a time, and trusting that I would be safe with you.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was a huge thing for me, because I haven't always felt safe in the presence of men. So I thank you for helping me get through that hurdle.
Well, and thank you. I've in the same regard, I have on Monday we talked about the Akashic record reading that I had done a few weeks ago. I don't have that broadcast at the tip of my tongue, but a couple of weeks back when Amy interviewed me, or I interviewed her, and we talked about that. Amy Cunningham. I had some things that I've been carrying with me a long time, and all around relationships. Mm-hmm. And so energetically, I have not been, in this life, I've not had successful relationships, and they all follow the same pattern. And over the years, I've been looking at it, but just this last week, it was a great opportunity to spend some time with female energy in a safe place, and very healthy for me. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, good.
Some mutual healing going on there.
Yes, and that's what life is all about, right? Healing past wounds and getting over fears. And so was there any fears in meeting other people? Because I remember I was telling people that I would be going around and traveling and meeting new people, and they said, "Oh, isn't that going to be unnerving for you and scary?" And I was like, "No, I love that." I just like, this is why I'm doing American Gumption and traveling around, because I just like meeting new people. I get energy from those interactions and those meetings, so I love it. But what about for you? Was there any? Do you when you meet new people, do you get nervous, or do you get energy?
Never given me trouble before.
Here we are.
There we are.
We're back. Yeah. All right.
So back to that question. And yeah, I was saying my internet's never given me trouble before, and here we are today on a live broadcast dealing with internet issues.
We're going to have a new fear of the internet coming out.
Yeah, I love meeting new people. They're so at the core of me. We're both Cancers, which is funny because we're supposed to be like inside our shell, but neither one of us hide in our shell very well. I've always had a drive for adventure, and so this traveling the last week and meeting new people I love it personally. I love meeting new people, and I love hearing their stories, because every person has a story. And that, for me, that's what Fearless and Free TV is. I'm still kind of, reinventing that, or inventing what I want that to look like. And so what I'm really sensing is that this is about people telling their stories, and then what they're using those stories for. So we all have a story. The question is, how are we using that story to make an impact in the world and to make the world a better place? And so we met some really amazing people, and I love the story. To me, that human beings learn best through stories. So I love meeting people and hearing what's percolating in their heart. And we got to experience a lot of that this week.
One of the new people that I met was Julian, and he is chiming in and says, keep our eyes out for pirates. We learned.
Well, we know why that is.
We learned. Thank you. Yeah, we learned that. Why do pirates wear a patch?
We know why pirates wear a patch, and we discovered why they wear bandanas too. So the bandanas are to keep the sweat out of their eyes.
Yeah. And
the patch was they would move it from one eye to the other, so that if they went down into the hull of the ship, all they'd have to do is move the patch over. So one eye could adjust to the darkness, and the other eye adjust to the light.
I thought it was because they had been wounded in battle and had a missing eye, and they covered up their patch.
I know.
So
anyway, I think we all thought that for a long time, and that makes a lot more sense that not that many people got their eyes wounded in battle. It was actually for practical purposes.
Exactly. So
and Julian happened to have on the bandanas and the sunglasses. He looked like a pirate. when you walked in.
Yeah, so Julian's one of the new people that I met along the way, and lots of fun meeting. And the energy of Palm Springs was a wonderful visit.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of people there. So now wait, we're jumping around. We're jumping at different topics.
Well, Julian's one of the people that I knew and you didn't.
That's right.
So.
That's right. So you've introduced me, and I'm introducing you, and we're all introducing each other. But this fearless. Okay, so we both like. Energetically, it's a good thing for us to be out there. What about what did you notice with like the fact that we're opening up our country again? COVID is 1 year since it began, and the lockdown, the isolation. But it was really kind of felt like a reemergence. We were going back out. We were seeing new people. There's people wearing face masks. There's some people who are, kind of look like they're more nervous, and there's other people who look like it's not bothering them at all. What did you see the different places we went? What did you notice?
One of the things that really stood out for me is one area that we went to that wasn't part of a municipal district. There were very few people wearing masks. And then in Palm Springs proper, everybody had masks on. Now, I don't know if that's because of city regulations or if it's just because people are in so much closer proximity that they feel safer if everybody's got the mask on. Where the hotel was, there were very few people.
Right.
So we don't really run into anybody.
Right.
So I just found that interesting.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the people who are wearing masks are more afraid. That's the energetic sense that I get.
And back to Palm Springs, we heard that even from the people who live there, they said, "Oh my gosh, this is opening up again." They commented on that. So I'm sure that the city was encouraging everybody to follow, safe practices and be smart about what we're doing.
Right.
And but we did see a lot of people out moving around.
Yeah, that was great. I think it's actually spring break in Palm Springs right now.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons there were so many people. But yeah, it feels good to be out and people were shopping and people were eating. And I personally love all of the outdoor restaurants. I hope that when this is all said and done and COVID is part of our past story, that we still have outdoor dining. It's just so much more pleasant to me.
Yeah, we saw in Huntington Beach and we saw in Palm Springs that the streets were shut down and set up in the middle of the street like dining areas for the different restaurants so that they could really open up, spread people out further, and yet begin to make it work for everybody. And then there was if you haven't been to a restaurant in the last year, how to tell people how they read the menu now.
So the menus.
I'm like, where's the menu?
A lot of the restaurants don't have real menus anymore.
No.
So they all have little barcodes or
QR
code menus. So if you don't have a smartphone, you don't eat.
Yeah.
Basically.
No. And so you just take your phone, you put it on camera mode, and you hold it over the QR code, and poof, there's like a little, somehow magically, a link shows up that says the menu, and you just click on that, and then in your browser, it opens up the menu.
Yeah. Now you still do have to order from a waiter.
The waiters and waitresses come around.
Yeah. You can't just order on your smartphone and it goes to the cash register. There is still human interaction.
Correct.
But the QR code menus have been interesting to get accustomed to because my phone doesn't always like using them.
And if your eyes are many decades old, the pinch and zoom is required on these because it's a sort of like a PDF of the menu, and it's like really small. So, but you just zoom right in, and then you have to kind of scroll through and find what you want. So it's working.
It's working. It just takes some getting used to, and it's definitely better for the environment, of course, because we're not dealing with paper menus that need to get thrown out. And less expensive for the restaurant owners because they don't have to, or easier if they change their menu every day, then they can just change it online. Because some restaurants do that; they change their menu every day.
Yeah, so maybe simplify the menu, maybe offer fewer choices. Just have some basic things that people want. If it's a certain style of cuisine, there's things that people want. You don't need to have 50 choices. You could have 30,
right,
or 25. Yeah. Yeah, good.
Well, too many choices isn't always best anyway, right?
One of our diners we were with, he was trying to use the menu and looking at it, and he finally just when the waitress came, he said, "Hey, can I have a quesadilla?" And he figured it out that way. So it works either way.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so it was a fun week. We chilled a little bit, then we went and we did the technology and we broadcast. Then we jumped in the car, we drove out to Palm Springs. Then we came back. We got to soak in the mineral waters, and then we're waking up here today. We didn't get home till about 11:30.
It was pretty late. It was probably midnight before.
So I woke up this morning and I was like thinking, what? I had no kind of prepared idea of it, and I was like, oh boy, maybe I should just get in the car and drive away and not do this. But I relaxed. I did a little bit of meditating and just thinking about what I could do, and I thought, hey, we'll just the fearless and free in terms of talking about some of the fears that we overcame and then some of the freedoms that we felt this week. So you're fearless and free, though. Just tell a little bit about why fearless and why free? How did they come about for you?
So we presently live in what I call a fear-based reality. So the default for human choices has been fear.
Yeah.
And so this is all about freeing ourselves from this fear-based reality and creating a reality that's based in love rather than fear. So it's all about learning to recognize how our choices are fear-based and then making new choices from love. And when we choose love over fear, it frees us from the matrix of fear, if you will. So the more of us who learn to consciously choose love over fear, the sooner that old world reality based in fear just starts to melt away. So ultimately, all freedoms are spiritual freedoms, and I use the term spirit and energy synonymously. So if we're talking about the energy of fear, then it's all spiritual freedom, right? If we come into the energy of love, then fear dissipates because fear cannot exist in the presence of love.
When we were out this week, what did you sense? What kind of energies were you picking up on? Did you see both love energies and fear energies, or did you see a combination of both? Did you notice anything different?
A combination of both. What I find interesting is it's starting to feel like there's a term that I was getting from Spirit about a year ago called, and the term is two earth split. And what I've been sensing is that there's a point where, we've been living in this very divided, divisive world, really since 2012, since the fourth dimension converged with the third dimension. We've experienced a lot more divisiveness on our planet and againstness and trying to separate us by all these different labels. But the two earth split is different. It's a love-based reality splitting off from the fear-based reality. So as I've been out lately, I've been really sensing, I can feel these people are moving toward the love-based reality, and I can feel these people clinging to the fear-based reality. And I say clinging because it's what we're comfortable with. It's the old world is a collective comfort zone. So disbelieving all of the fear-based beliefs we've always believed is uncomfortable. And yet, if we're going to create a new reality based in love, we have to be willing to look at all of those fear-based beliefs and transmute them. So yeah, I saw both, and it is interesting because I can feel energetically the difference between who's moving toward love and who's moving more toward fear.
When I began my awakening, my transformation, my first year of transformation, 2009, really my first big awakening, but each year's been transformational. Each year's been more conscious and awakening. So it's not like something that you just do and then that's it. It keeps going. But the idea of right and wrong, I remember, and it ties with what you were saying. I made lots of things right and wrong or good and bad, kind of judgments. And I remember a coach and a friend and a mentor said to me, just imagine that there is no right and wrong. There is no good and bad. Everything's just the way you want to interpret it. And then what if you don't worry about interpreting it, you just let it be and you experience it. And I just think that it's the the part that kind of transformed to me or allowed me to think differently was when it was like, if I'm right, then what does the other person by default have to be?
Wrong. And that's simply not true.
Right. And so we don't want to correct. We don't want to.
That would make me right.
That is correct. We don't want to, if we're going to, continue to fight for, hey, I'm right, and I'm going to and that makes others wrong, then that's what keeps us divided.
Correct.
And,
that creates a win-lose environment. And we're trying to move out of win-lose environment into what I call win-win-win.
Right.
So I win, you win, and the whole of humanity and all life on earth wins. So how can we rethink everything we believe and rethink it in a way that it becomes a win-win-win for everyone, so that the divisiveness just simply dissipates? So a better question, instead of saying, is this right or is this wrong, ask, is this what's best? Is this what's best? So if we always ask what's best, then we make choices from a completely different perspective. Yeah.
All righty. Well, this was fun. Again, Victoria, thank you so much for allowing me to come and be part of your energy, your world. I really enjoyed it. And, it's been so much fun that it's like, I wish I could hang out for a few more days, but the journey will just continue. And I just want to say thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And if you hang out here too long, you'll end up in traffic. So the 4-hour drive to Las Vegas turns into a 7-hour one.
That's right. So I learned about transponders. Tell me about the transponder that allowed us to get to Palm Springs and back a little bit quicker. Why was the transponder necessary?
Oh, so
for those who don't live in Southern California,
it's capitalism at its finest, unfortunately. So our carpool lanes are owned by a corporation. And so in order to, not all of our carpool lanes, but this specific carpool lane between here and Palm Springs is owned by a corporation. So in order for anyone to use the carpool lane, you have to pay for the right to use the carpool lane. So this transponder allows us to use the carpool lane. And we obviously have to pay for it, but it allowed us to get into the special lane. So we got to bypass the immense Highway 91 traffic between.
It was really kind of a neat experience because, and then there's it's actually like a divided lane where it's like there's, these kind of plastic posts that stick up, and sometimes there's actually physical hard walls that separate it, and it's a whole separate lane, and you just kind of cruise along in there, and you're looking at the traffic all kind of backed up and jammed up, and you're kind of moving, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah. It has been worth the investment.
Yeah,
for sure.
And back east, they have what they call Fast Pass, which is basically where you used to go through toll booths and you would pay people. Well, that was getting phased out. That was becoming more and more electronic over the last few years. And essentially what's happened with COVID is they just shut it all down and it's all Fast Pass. And now back east, if you don't have a Fast Pass, like a transponder, then what happens is they just send you a bill. They're not even, they're not even fining you, if you don't have it, I guess but it's just much simpler to have it and that sort of thing. So anyway, capitalism, that's right. They gotta, hey.
Well, I'm looking forward to less capitalism and more, my new favorite word is humanitarianism.
Humanitarianism, very good.
It's going to be replacing all of our other isms in the new world we're creating, so.
All righty. Well, I want to thank everybody who's been helping me this week, and I've been meeting with, and then of course you folks who watch the American Gumption Morning Show, and of course this is episode number 6 from the road with my guest and my host for the past week. Thank you so much, Victoria Reynolds, for making this a fun week for me.
It was a fun week, and it was an adventure. And one of the things that you were talking about, the freedom. So being able for me to just pick up and go has been really good for me because I've been tied down to motherhood for the past 18 years. And so yeah, it was great to just be able to pick up and go and know that my kids were cool with my ex-husband. So
you were in a place the last 10 years where you knew changes had to occur in your life, but you were raising the kids, and now they're almost at that point where they are ready to leave the coop. Not quite yet.
Not quite yet.
But
they're old enough to take care of themselves. Yeah.
Well, that's right. So new freedom for you this week.
New freedom for me.
Yeah. And new freedom for all of us. And I guess maybe the way to close this out is just to say that, hey, we went out there and we ended up, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 restaurants maybe during the course of the week, something like that. And then meeting with a couple different people at their homes and really just feeling like it was safe to move about and just use common sense and be respectful of others and
absolutely.
And like I said, common sense.
Yeah, common sense.
So very good. Well, great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close this down. Do you want the last word or should I take the last word?
It's your show. You get the last word.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you again, Victoria. Thanks, Debbie G, for making all of these new friends and being the glue that holds us together. And thank you, Dr. Sharon Stroud, who hosted me on Wednesday night, and I was part of her show Wednesday night, and she was part of my show yesterday morning. What a wonderful experience that was. And then Julian and Fleet, who we met in Palm Springs yesterday, and a nice enjoyable lunch. And then Sharon Holmes, who hosted us for dinner last night. It's just been a great week, the whole week. So
yeah, and Joan.
And Joan of Angels. Joan
of
Angels on the way as we went out to Palm Springs. She was really the first stop when we got there.
Yeah. And
she was the part where I realized that the technology was way too complicated and we needed to make it simpler to make things work. So it's funny how, you have an idea and you want it to work and you try it. And then all of a sudden you're like, this is not working. It's too complicated. Let's just go ahead and make it simple.
Yeah. And all we really need is one camera and a microphone. So the whole entire setup.
Yeah. Alrighty, well that's it. We'll close down this week. Now I'm going to get in the car and drive to Vegas tonight, and then I'll end up in Salt Lake City on Saturday night, and then on Sunday I drive over to Denver, and then I plant myself in the Denver Boulder area for a couple days. So I don't think I'm going to do a broadcast. Well, I don't know yet. I'm not sure when you'll see me next. So we'll just leave it open-ended. That's the way we roll around here.
That's the way we roll.
That's the way we roll. So, all righty. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We appreciate your being here. Have a wonderful weekend.